for joining me today. It's Brian Gubernick, and welcome to the No Days Off podcast, where we believe that every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. Most everyone here, actually, let me take that back. Everyone here is a salesperson. You may be selling a product, you may be selling a service, or you may not perceive yourself as a salesperson in the professional world, but you are selling your ideas, you're selling your thoughts to your peers, to your friends, to your family. We're all in the business of sales in some capacity. If you are, in fact, in sales, then understanding the pain versus pleasure principle is of great benefit to you. Why do I believe that? Well, let's talk about pain versus pleasure. Okay? The pain versus pleasure principle, specifically in sales, is based on this psychological idea that people are motivated primarily by two forces. And the two forces are the desire to avoid pain and the pursuit of pleasure. So people are motivated to avoid pain and to pursue pleasure. So in sales, this principle suggests that people are more likely to buy into a product or a service or even an idea if it either relieves a pain that they're experiencing or brings them closer to something more pleasurable or aspirational. So let's take a look at these two areas or these two sides of the principle a little bit closer. Okay, so you have pain avoidance. Number one, pain avoidance. People feel compelled to solve problems or alleviate discomfort. That's how human nature operates. We feel compelled to solve problems or alleviate discomfort. So in sales, this means that focusing on the pain points with your prospect or whoever's in front of you, whatever pain points that prospect faces, if you're able to position your product or your service as a solution, there's a good chance you get acceptance or buy-in. So for example, if you're selling a software tool and that software tool streamlines paperwork, if I was you, I'd be emphasizing how this software tool eliminates the tedious, the time-consuming aspects of administrative work. And as a result, it reduces frustration and stress. So in this particular case, you've got this pain, which is the tedious, time consuming aspects of admin work and the frustration and stress that comes along with it. And this software tool that streamlines the paperwork, thereby helping avoid that pain. Now, on the other side of the coin, you have the pleasure pursuit. People are also motivated by pleasure and the desire for gain. So this sort of approach involves showing your prospects or those you're looking to get buy-in to your product or your service. This shows them how your product or service or idea can bring them closer to an ideal outcome or an ideal benefit. So for example, if you're selling, let's say, a fitness program, emphasizing the benefits of a healthy, energetic lifestyle appeals to their desire for positive transformation, for satisfaction. So they desire to transform, to look different, to feel different, to be happy. And so with your program, in this case, a fitness program, you're going to emphasize the benefits of a healthy, energetic lifestyle because it appeals to this desire that they have. So in practice, most successful sales strategies use a combination of both pain and pleasure. However, the research actually suggests that pain avoidance is usually a bit more effective since people really tend to be more motivated to prevent a loss than they are to achieve a gain. Hear that one or take that one and write it down. People tend to look to avoid pain more than they look to achieve a gain. They want to prevent loss more than achieve a gain. So you want to use a mix, but just recognize the pain avoidance strategy here may get you further. So when you're creating your narrative and you're looking to create one that resonates with your prospect, you got to appeal to that prospect's emotions, that prospect's motivations. You got to use a little pain, you got to use a little pleasure. Now let's get a bit more granular here because I want action steps to come from this. I want you to apply the pain versus principle in sales. And remember, sales doesn't necessarily just have to be a product or service. It may be you selling an idea or a concept to your people. But here's some actionable steps that I think you can take starting today. Number one, you got to identify and understand customer pain points. How do you do that? Some ideas: survey your customers. If you haven't already done this, gather some data on your customers' biggest frustrations or their obstacles or their challenges. Interview them, have informal conversation, understand what they're struggling with and why it matters to them. We've got to identify and understand customer pain points. So survey customers. Maybe also an idea here: analyze past deals, past losses. Look at cases where customers decided to buy or went with a competitor. Analyze the pain points that prompted the purchase or the hesitation if they didn't convert. So understanding their reasons helps identify common pain triggers that you could begin to focus on. So number one, you got to identify and understand customer pain points. Number two, highlight the relief your product or your service or your idea provides. So I would say map out the pain relief benefits. Make a list of how your service or your product directly addresses each identified pain point. This helps you position your offering as the solution, right? Also consider using testimonials. Share examples where other customers have used your service or your product to overcome very similar pain points. When you can share a testimonial, when you can share a story that someone can relate to, it will move the needle. So number one, identify and understand your customer pain points. Number two, highlight the relief your product or service provides. Number three, emphasize aspirational, pleasure-oriented outcomes. Emphasize aspirational, pleasure-oriented outcomes. What does this mean? This means to visualize the ideal state. So help your customers, help your prospects imagine a scenario where your product or your service or your idea improves their lives. So if it's in a presentation or a pitch, describe the desirable outcome that they can achieve. Maybe it's peace of mind, maybe it's efficiency, maybe it's a goal, whatever it may be. Describe that desirable outcome that they're going to achieve by working with you. Create a compelling visual or compelling visuals. Maybe it's use images, charts, videos, something showing that the pleasure-based benefits. Maybe it's if you're selling houses, maybe it's the after photo when they're standing in front of the house, all happy that they're moving in. Or maybe it's just metrics on improved productivity if you're selling some sort of product. Or maybe it's customer quotes, but have some sort of compelling visual. And then lastly, number four, balance the pain and the pleasure messaging. So you've got to tailor your approach by prospect. Some prospects respond more to avoiding pain. Others are drawn to the idea of a pleasurable outcome. You got to use the initial conversations to determine which one of those approaches is going to best resonate or most resonate with each prospect, and then adjust your pitch accordingly. My recommendation, I would lead with pain, but I would end with something pleasurable. So generally, people are going to act faster to avoid pain than they are to gain pleasure. So start by addressing the pain points, but then pivot to how good the solution ultimately will feel, right? Like how good this is actually going to turn out for them. This combination will build urgency, will build excitement around your offer. Okay. So again, quick 4 action items: identify and understand the customer pain points, highlight the relief your product or service provides. Number 3, emphasize aspirational, pleasure-oriented outcomes. And number 4, balance pleasure and pain messaging. So the assignment for you today is to look at your sales pitch, whether you're selling a product or a service, or you're just leading people. Think around your pitch and ask yourself, does it incorporate the pain component of the pain versus pleasure sales principle? Am I addressing or identifying pain points and then addressing them with my service or my product? Does it also address the pleasure component of the pain versus pleasure sales principle? Am I showing them what the future can look like? What is the mix, and how can I take what I just learned today and incorporate it into my pitch, thereby making it a slight bit better than it was yesterday? That's all I have for you today, the No Days Off podcast. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, every single day brings a new opportunity to get better. So let's get after it.